Most people think of Antarctica as a frozen wasteland at the bottom of the world. Nothing but endless ice, howling winds, and maybe a few penguins waddling around. And honestly, that's fair. Today, it's the most barren continent on Earth. No trees, no land animals, not even a single blade of grass. But here's what blows most people's minds. Antarctica wasn't always like this. Millions of years ago, this frozen continent was warm, lush, and absolutely packed with wildlife, including some of the most bizarre and terrifying creatures to ever walk the planet. Let's count them down. Number 7, the Litoptern. Here's something that might surprise you. Antarctica once had forests, real ones, and living inside those forests were creatures called Litopterns. Picture the body of a camel crossed with the face of a tapir, and you're in the right ballpark. DNA analysis places their closest living relatives as tapirs, horses, and rhinos, which makes them part of a surprisingly familiar family tree. Like those relatives, Litopterns were plant eaters, grazing and browsing through dense prehistoric vegetation. Their existence alone tells us something remarkable. At one point, Antarctica was green, warm enough to support entire ecosystems of land animals. That all ended around 34 million years ago when the continent began its deep freeze. As temperatures dropped, plants died off, and without food sources, the Litopterns, along with everything else living on land, went extinct on the continent. Number 5, the giant penguin. You already know penguins. Cute, clumsy, beloved. But about 34 million years ago, Antarctica was home to a species of penguin that was anything but cute. Scientists have nicknamed it the mega penguin, and for good reason. Stack it up against today's largest species, the emperor penguin, and the difference is staggering. This thing was massive, closer in height to a full-grown human than to anything waddling around a zoo today. Fossil records show it could hold its breath underwater for far longer than any modern penguin, making it a seriously effective hunter. Number 5, the Astrapothere. If someone described an animal as a cross between an elephant and a hippo, you'd probably think they were exaggerating. But Astropotheres were genuinely that strange, and scientists still aren't entirely sure which modern animals are their closest relatives. They were large, plant-eating mammals that shared Antarctica with megapenguins and litoptons during the same general time period. When the continent froze over, they disappeared from Antarctica entirely. But here's where it gets interesting. They survived in South America for millions of years after that, hanging on until about 11 million years ago. During that time, they shared their world with creatures like Purosaurus, a giant caiman that stretched nearly 50 feet long. Prehistoric South America was, in one word, brutal. Number 4, terror bird. Up until now, everything on this list has been relatively peaceful. Herbivores, swimmers, grazers, but something had to be hunting all of them. Enter the terror bird. Fossils and even preserved footprints have been found in Antarctica, confirming these animals once roamed the continent. They originally evolved in South America after the dinosaurs went extinct, filling the role of top land predator. Since South America and Antarctica were connected for a significant stretch of prehistoric time, terror birds eventually made their way south. They were fast, aggressive, and capable of taking down prey much larger than themselves. Their beaks were built for tearing, not nibbling. Number 3, Cryolophosaurus. Most Americans have heard of Triceratops, T-Rex, maybe even Velociraptor. But how many people know about an Antarctic dinosaur? Yes, dinosaurs lived in Antarctica too. And one of the most unusual species discovered there is Cryolophosaurus. First uncovered in 1991 on Mount Kirkpatrick, one of the highest peaks on the continent. What sets Cryolophosaurus apart is the bizarre crest running across the top of its skull. Scientists are still debating its exact purpose, but the leading theories connect it to mating displays, communication, or establishing dominance within the species, similar to the crests seen on certain birds alive today. Cryolophosaurus was the apex predator of its time and place, ruling the food chain in Antarctica roughly 180 million years ago. Back then, Antarctica wasn't isolated at the bottom of the world. It was part of a massive supercontinent called Gondwana. Number 2, Basilosaurus. Killer whales are the undisputed rulers of Antarctic waters today. They're intelligent, coordinated hunters, genuinely impressive animals. But even a killer whale would have had reason to be cautious if Basilosaurus were still around. This prehistoric whale stretched roughly 60 feet in length. It patrolled the oceans surrounding Antarctica and was built to dominate everything in its path. Basilosaurus went extinct around 34 million years ago, wiped out by the same climate shift that froze Antarctica and erased so many other species on this list. Number 1. Lystrosaurus. Of every animal on this list, Lystrosaurus might be the most important, not just for what it was, but for what it proved. Its fossils were first discovered in South Africa, then in India, then finally in Antarctica. Scientists were genuinely baffled. How could the same animal end up on 3 continents, separated by thousands of miles of ocean? The answer changed everything. The continents weren't always separated. Lystrosaurus became one of the key pieces of evidence confirming the theory of continental drift, the idea that all of Earth's landmasses were once joined together and slowly drifted apart over hundreds of millions of years. Lystrosaurus lived around 247 million years ago and was closely related to the ancestors of mammals than to any modern reptile. It lived through the Permian extinction, the single most catastrophic mass extinction event in Earth's entire history. An estimated 90 to 96% of all species were wiped out. Lystrosaurus made it through. Not only did it survive, it thrived in the aftermath, becoming one of the most widespread land animals on the planet. Antarctica looks like the end of the world. Barren, frozen, lifeless. But underneath all that ice is a history more wild and strange than almost anywhere else on Earth. Giant predatory penguins, elephant-hippo hybrids, dinosaurs with crests, a whale the size of a city bus, and a small, tough little animal that survived the apocalypse. The ice preserved their secrets for millions of years, and scientists are still finding more.